place being open in general probably means they make at least enough money to be open that physical day. But yeah, like you said, they don't know anything behind
Yeah, but you don't know the debt.
Yeah, they don't know anything behind that. Like that place could be closing tomorrow.
Restaurant Punk, what's up?
Welcome to Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
I love your take on
2,
it.
3 guests.
You're surprisingly good at that.
I know, right? Is it weird?
You don't practice?
Is it weird that I practice that in my room for the last 30 years?
I have my own voices that I practice with, but they're all in my head.
Well,
Give us one of them right now.
Do you remember the Tweedlebugs?
The
what?
who?
From Sesame Street. So this was like, I don't know, they may have stopped doing it. Like, okay, so in the 80s,
Okay.
it was Sesame Street and they're the Tweedlebugs. I think they lived in a milk carton. And they would go in a
I
ride
thought
like,
Oscar
in the
had it
family
bad.
car, in the family car. No?
I don't
No.
remember that. And I grew up on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do restaurants fail?
Because they suck. No, okay,
Because they
next.
suck.
Because they suck.
Oh, man.
And
There's a lot in that question.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So I guess, right, so there's a lot in that question, and I guess they fail for thousands of different reasons.
Yeah,
So I
definitely.
guess if you were able to distill it down to what you've seen as kind of the top reason that restaurants fail.
Go ahead. You. I mean, you have more experience than I do. I could just.
In failing restaurants.
I was just gonna say
Thank you.
that.
I appreciate
You're a
that.
failure. Why don't you take it away there, you failure?
And go Pete.
Yeah.
That's not what I meant. I'm just saying I'm not. on
You
that
know
side of
what?
it.
I mean,
For the record, this is Pete the failure talking.
You're
Go
not
ahead,
getting
Pete
a
the
voice
failure.
at the end of the episode. That's it.
It's going to be your tears.
I failed
It's gonna
at
be your
supporting
tears.
you with a voice at the end of the
Yeah,
episode.
well.
Perfect.
I feel like it can fall from, honestly, it can fall from any aspect, from food, service, atmosphere, which we've talked about so much. But there's plenty of people that, just because they think they can cook good at home, they want to open up a restaurant and execute. They're just not good at it. You can't do it. Or they have the wrong staff and people just won't come back. I mean, there's so many reasons. They don't work their restaurant. They don't understand their P&L sheets. They're priced wrong. There's so much that goes into this answer.
Well, this is what I
We
want to
can
ask.
spend an episode on every
Right.
single aspect of it.
Maybe we should.
Maybe we should.
I'm just saying, because there's a lot. I think there's a lot of people, there's this misconception that I have this great food, everyone's going to love it.
Yeah,
And that's all it takes, which is not true.
definitely not true.
Right. There's just so much involved. Because I always wonder, because I've never owned a restaurant, but I always wonder if how much food costs, like people not really knowing where the money's going, like how it's circulating through the restaurant, through the business, if that plays a huge role. Like if that's
Well,
like
the
a
owner
high
not
percentage.
knowing how the money is circulating through the business is a big deal. And a lot of people don't know where their money goes. They're like, oh, I made this much money this week. I'll pay this off, pay this off, pay this off. You
What-
got quarterlies, you got monthly taxes, you have,
Right.
there's just so many bills. And I think people just not being, I don't know, let's focus on one point.
Well, do you think there's a higher percentage of people who don't know what the overhead costs are? Do they really, really know everything? So they're thinking, okay, oh my God, these sales are so great. I'm making all this money, but
Yeah.
deducting your overhead costs, how much did you really make? Do you think people are just not like really well versed in like understanding that?
Well, I know Yanni always said sales make everything disappear. And I think what he means by that is the more you bring in sales, the more flexibility you have.
More
and
inefficient you can be.
Exactly. You can adjust at that point. So I know we've opened up restaurants where our food cost was stupid high, but we wanted people to just start coming in. And over the course, maybe 2 years in, okay, let's start adjusting. A little bit here, a little bit there, but we want the people to come in first.
Yeah.
We need the people to come in. We need a steady stream, not a steady stream of losing money. Maybe it's a break-even point, or maybe you're making a couple pennies on it, but you're building your business, because you're not thinking, how much am I making today? It's how much will I make in the future?
yeah, but that was your game plan. I'm talking
Well,
about the
you need a
people.
game
Yeah,
plan.
but that was your game plan. Like you were fully aware that
yes.
was what was happening.
And
that
I think
was the
that's
plan.
the point. I think you
Right.
just said it.
Some
It's
people
that
that-
people are just not aware.
Right.
So it's right. It's the restaurant business. There's a business part of it. Operating a business, any business, is
Yeah.
hard. There are things that come solely with operating a business Then you have the intricacies of the individual businesses. Like owning a restaurant, I always drew it similar to like being a teacher,
Yeah.
or like things that people are super familiar with.
Mhm.
Like I went to school. I have kids. I know what teachers do. Like you don't know what teachers do.
No idea.
Oh, I've been to restaurants. I go to restaurants all the time. Like there's a familiarity with it. So you think
Yeah.
that because you go to a restaurant every month or every weekend or whatever, you have this false sense that like you understand what it takes to operate it. Like,
Yeah.
no, you understand it from a guest perspective.
Right.
That's great. You might actually just be decently successful in whatever else you do. So you might be able to look, second level, third level of like, oh wow, like look around at all the employees they have. Like you might be able to start to piece that together, but they just don't have a frame of reference. And
Well,
it's not really
that's the
something you can
problem.
read about, right? Like you can, but like you have to work.
You have to work.
You
Yeah.
have to work in it. Like you have to, and that's not to say that, everybody that works in a restaurant that opens one succeeds,
Yeah.
or people that have never worked in a restaurant buy and don't succeed
Well,
or
there's
whatever.
some
But it's
people
like,
that, I know people that their family member bought them a restaurant for their kid, son, daughter, whatever, and said, here you go. Have your own restaurant. It'll be fun. There's other people, like I said, they're great cooks at home. They would just want to open up a restaurant and throw out their food, but they don't know the back end of it. They don't know everything that goes into it. Some people are like, you just want to invest in this location and just dump money into it. But if somebody doesn't start hitting, they might be great at exactly that thing. They might be a great chef. Doesn't make you a great business owner.
Right.
And I think Yanni says that all the time
And I
too.
think
Are you a chef or an owner? Because you can't be both.
people aren't clear about that. They don't
Yeah.
even know that there's a difference.
Right.
Right. It's like, it's that idea of wanting to own a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's not a plan. It's a dream. Like, I want to look like Mr. Universe. Oh, that's an abstract idea. Like,
Yeah.
do you have a diet plan? Do you have it? Like, there's things that go into that.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
just this idea of like, oh, I want to open a restaurant. There's no test. It's not like being a lawyer or a doctor, right? Like,
Right.
you want to open a restaurant? Do you have enough money to? Like, you can open a restaurant,
Yeah.
Right.
get a lawyer, have them incorporate you, whatever
Yeah.
you want to be. Like, people can physically open restaurants. There's no, do you have money?
Yeah.
Right.
Is there
I-
a space available? Does
I
somebody
think
want to
that's
sell you that
something that
space?
we did.
You can do it.
How much
Like-
does it cost to open a restaurant? We did something like
Yeah,
that
like-
before. Like people don't take into account everything.
But again, if you have $1 million and you want to open up a 30-seat BYO, you can do that.
Yeah.
And you can run it like very unsuccessfully
Yeah.
for 20 years with $1 million. Like you can do that. It's just
Well,
at some point, money's not infinite, right? Like you're gonna
It's finite.
run out, and
yeah.
it's
So it's interesting you should say that, because what I was thinking of is people who want to invest in established restaurants, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, you can have a restaurant and run it unsuccessfully for years. No one necessarily knows that. So
Mm.
you got these people coming, oh, I want to be a partner. I want to invest in your restaurant because I see you've been around for so many years.
Right.
You must be successful. You must be
Yeah.
doing it right. And then I'm wondering, as an investor, are you really looking at the books? Are you really scrutinizing it? Or you're just assuming because they've been in business for a certain amount of years, they must know what they're doing? Because there are people who can, they can stretch it out,
Yeah.
but doesn't necessarily mean that they have a really good.
theoretical. Any restaurant that's open is successful to some degree because the doors aren't locked. like at some point, right? Like there are less successful places and those places that are locked.
Yeah.
So like as a guest, as someone thinking about opening a restaurant, you walk in, like a place being open in general probably means they make at least enough money to be open that physical day. But yeah, like you said, they don't know anything behind
Yeah, but
it.
you don't know the debt.
Yeah, they don't know anything behind that. Like that place could be closing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But there's this idea that like people see it and they see the lifestyle and they're like, oh man, like this, everybody must be making millions. Like, no.
Because I would assume you too know a lot of restaurant owners. Do you
Yeah, we
ever
both
see
do.
like a lot of like, let's say you don't say anything to that person, maybe you think it. Wow, so you're blowing a lot of money, and I'm not so sure that you bring in enough money to make up for what you're spending.
Pete? Just kidding. Sorry to anybody seeing
no,
this
I'm
at
just
home.
saying like personal expenses, because I've seen people who own restaurants go out and just go hog wild and spend it, and I'm
Yeah.
looking, I'm like, are you really making all that money? Like, what's happening here?
I've seen, this is what's really unfortunate. I've seen super smart restaurateurs, people that I respect, fail. And I have seen some dumbass people run really successful restaurants. And when there's just no rhyme or reason to some of that, it can get oddly infuriating where it's just because, and like Pete and I both know, like, because like you said, we've know a lot of restaurateurs, and there's people that open and close, and we're like, you would think that it's very cut and dry of, I know how to do this, so I'll be successful.
Yeah.
Nope.
Right.
You might have 10 successful places, but you've also closed 3.
right.
And it's like, well, what's the, and then
Well,
like
you
Pete was
said-
saying earlier, there's a million things that go into it at the beginning.
Somebody really dumb, stupid that ran a very successful restaurant. Did he have a good personality?
Yeah.
Did he work there every day?
Yeah.
Did people love him?
Yeah.
Work
Right.
the restaurant.
Right. So there's that side of it. Because let's say, for me, I'm very organized. Everyone knows this. But I could go in a restaurant and it not succeed.
Yeah.
Like, I could have everything structured and in place, but that's not necessarily enough. There's like 2 sides of it, right? Because it's also dealing with the clients.
Well,
the
yeah,
customers.
that's if you want somebody that people can make a connection with.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nico's worked at George's Place Beachfront for so long, people thought he was the owner.
Right.
People would come in, they wouldn't even ask for Yanni. Like, where's the owner? Where's Nico's at? Because he's the face of the place. Like, you need somebody in the front. You want people to come back for your server or waiter
Atmosphere?
or
Something.
Hey man, I go to some
Something though, right?
shitty places
Something, just because of one thing.
I go to some
Yeah.
shitty places with busted up tiles in the ceiling. You know the chairs that you sit in coffee hour after church or whatever religious service? They're like the metal chairs with the leather back and leather
The
bottom.
the folding
Yeah.
ones? Yeah.
Yeah. No, not the
Oh, no,
folding
okay.
one. The ones that stack up really,
Oh,
really
okay.
high.
Mhm.
Yeah, those chairs, folding table, nothing on the walls, one radio. This place still has a radio.
Commercials are going.
Nothing. It's just nothing. But their pho is so good. And I go there for that. I know how the place is going to look. I know it's going to be a shitty place. The service sucks. But
Right.
their pho is so good.
Wow.
That I just keep going back for that. Sometimes things outshine other things. Will they be there forever with that service and everything? I don't know. I think they live on takeout service, but they're there and they're successful.
Right.
I would make a million changes to that place in a minute, but if it works for them,
So
it
even
works.
at the best of times, fully capitalized, full experience, everything, you still might fail.
Right.
So people that just have, that are undercapitalized, don't have the knowledge base. I mean, you're looking at
How many restaurants
you're looking
fail?
at why that many fail, right? What is it, 90% in the
Yeah.
first year?
Well,
or
I
something
know
like that?
small businesses in general,
90%?
like 98%. It's like really high.
Yeah, it was like 90% in the first year, and then 80% of that 10% that's
yeah.
left in the 3 to 5 years will close.
Yeah, and like you said before, you have to really work it. I think there's this idea in people's heads, like just like set and forget it. Like I'm put everything into place, I'll do this and that, and then I'm not going to really have to work. No, you have to work it. And like you said, to be the face, that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
People come back for the face, man. I mean,
This face, that face,
all 3 of these.
all 3
But
faces.
anyway, so
yes.
We're some good looking people. God damn.
so we
are
basically
just-
established that you can fail for any reason.
Yes.
Pretty much doesn't. It can be
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
And it,
Any-
you don't. Yeah.
Anything but if you do not have money or experience, you will definitely fail.
Some people
Do you think
look.
so? Do you think so? Do you think you could start a small restaurant with not a lot of money and still be successful and build it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think?
Isn't that how?
With the knowledge base.
With the knowledge base.
Yeah, I'm saying
yes.
so. Someone
Right.
who, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
right,
someone
I'm
right.
saying
with no
too,
knowledge
I can
base,
save
yeah.
a lot of people money. If you've never worked in a restaurant and you don't have a lot of money and you think you're just going to go in and shoot from the hip, save
Not
your
gonna
money,
happen.
put
Yeah.
it on
Yeah.
black. You're much more successful.
We're not far from AC. Just
That is
saying.
true.
We'll talk later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Anyway,
Anyway.
failing restaurants. If you have any doubt in your mind, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Talk to people, but don't do it. Don't jump right in yet. Not yet.
No.
I think if there's any doubt, work in more restaurants.
The PSA.
Yes.
Don't do it. Just don't. Run.
Mm-hmm.
Run.
Or email us. We'll try to help however we can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
go.
Or comment below.
We meaning him. Not
Yeah,
me.
Yes.
me.
Yes. Not Bobby Baklava.
No, not Bobby Baklava.
Right.
No.
I'll call you in as backup.
Oh, thanks,
Guys,
guys.
it was a pleasure talking about failing restaurants.
Yes.
Yes. Nothing brightens the mood. Like thinking back to our failures.
You're welcome. Restaurant
Anytime.
Punk. Out.
Punk. Question: what's the voice you would make if you go to take a puff and it's not clicked in?
Like a 12-year-old choking.
Oh, what would that sound like?
What you got? What do you want?